Welcome to Geocache Adventures with me, Shadow Dragon 1, where I explore the world of geocaching. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts or on the Geocache Adventures Facebook page. You can also follow Geo Adventures on Buy Me a Coffee for a behind-the-scenes look on every episode. That's one word, GEO Adventures. It's free to follow, or you can become a member and unlock exclusive posts and information. Your memberships go a long way for helping support the podcast and are greatly appreciated. Hi everybody, Amy Shadow Dragon 1 here, and with me today is Halemeister from the Geocaching with Halemeister YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you. It's good to be on the Geocache Adventures podcast.
Well, thank you. So to get started, how did you get started into geocaching?
Well, it's kind of a weird story. I probably have one of the most unique stories, possibly, perhaps. I found myself unemployed, laid off from work in 2009, and I was surfing Facebook. Facebook was new to me at the time, and I was getting ready to be a father for the first time back then. My son is now 13 years old. And so I was surfing Facebook and just trying to pass away time in between looking for jobs. And one of my Facebook friends, who I didn't know, the only reason I had Facebook befriended him was to level up in a game, an online game that was playing on Facebook. So I just started randomizing, getting new friends from different places for this game. And one of them, the guy started mentioning geocaching. So I just scrolled on through and everything. And after about a week or two of seeing this guy mention geocaching, I finally asked, okay, what is this geocaching you're talking about? And he told me what it was and how I could get started. And the rest is history. I set up an account probably about 2 or 3 weeks later after that. And I didn't go find my first geocache for a few months. Um, but yeah, that's how I found out about it, was very indirectly and very unsuspectingly, and that's how I became a geocacher.
That is kind of a roundabout way of finding that out.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
hmm
So, for anybody that may not be familiar with your YouTube channel, can you tell us a little bit about it and what it is?
Well, my YouTube channel is based wholly on geocaching and my adventures with it, and the friends I make along the way and the places I visit. But it also, I like to travel and show not only things around my area, but things like when I travel to mega events or go to long distance vacations or things like that. Of course, there's always geocaching involved in those travels. So I like to showcase high favorited geocaches or cool locations or things like that. It's a family friendly video channel on YouTube, and my goal is to not only help people find geocaching, but also to entertain while I'm doing that.
How long have you been doing this vlog?
I've been putting my adventures on YouTube since 2017. I started right around the time that Geo Woodstock in Waynesville, North Carolina was happening. That's right around the time I started.
So, why did you start the vlog?
Well, I at the time I didn't know why, but looking back at it, I wanted to give back to the geocaching community in a way that I hadn't done before. Uh, I have given back in many ways with my own hides, and that's typically how geocachers give back to the community, is with maybe CEDO events or hides of their own. And I thought, I can do this. I have some ideas in my head, and I have been watching other YouTube channels, both geocaching and not. And I thought, I like the way this person is doing that. I like the way this person is showing this or that. And I think I could probably do something like that and relate it to geocaching, which is a passion of mine.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Now, there are a lot of different vlogs out there, a lot of geocaching ones too. So what makes your vlog different from other geocaching vlogs that we may know?
Oh, that's a pretty good question, and one to definitely ponder over for a minute. Because I know many of the geocaching vloggers that are on the geocaching network, and we basically all kind of basically do the same thing. We all take you to a location. We all like to show a fantastic hide, or maybe even meet a cache owner or something like that. And of course, we all, most of the time, I should add that, we all like to find the geocache and show that as well. So what makes mine different is kind of a difficult question. The only thing I can think of is Mr. Bill.
Yes, I do like the Mr. Bill videos, and we'll get into a little bit more about Mr. Bill and his history because definitely want to hear more about that.
Okay.
But some more basic info on the channel. How often do you post videos?
Um, right now, and for the past couple years, I've been doing it. I post a new video every 2 weeks. Now, when I first started out 5 years ago, it was an every week thing. And looking back at that now, I'm like, I don't even know how I did that. How did I keep up with that demand? But after doing it for once a week for about 3 years, I decided to roll it back to once every 2 weeks to allow myself some family time, to attend my kids' extracurricular activities, and also just to dedicate more time to making a better quality video for the viewers, which takes a little bit more time, and a little more thought, and a little more creativity. So I guess I guess a long story short, every 2 weeks right now is what I'm yeah is what I'm doing, and that seems to be working out pretty well for me.
How do you pick what kind of geocaches or which geocaches to go target? I'm guessing favorite points factor in some.
Yes, that they factor in quite a bit. In fact, I have a few videos that I released a few months ago, and they both my messages in both of them were follow the favorite points, and that's what I did with those two videos, and most of my videos include that. Um, I filter by favorite points, and when going on road trips or vacations, I filter by favorite points, but also every now and then, there's one that doesn't have a lot of favorite points, but maybe it's really old. Maybe it fills a Jasmer spot, or maybe it gives me a DT square that I don't have, my next loop or something like that. So it's not just favorite points. It can be just favorite points, but it could also be something that's really old, or maybe a lonely cache, or perhaps it might have like a travel bug in it that is special to me, or is intended. I'm the intended target. That could be one. I haven't done anything quite like that with a travel bug yet, but that might be in the future. I do like the favorite points. Of course, they always tend to lead you to great locations, or really cool geocaches.
So let's go back to Mr. Bill now. For I've seen the videos. I love Mr. Bill, but for somebody who isn't familiar with Mr. Bill, can you sort of explain who Mr. Bill is and how Mr. Bill got started?
Well, Mr. Bill, for those who are probably my age or maybe a little bit older, and I don't want to date myself too bad here, but back in the 70s and maybe 80s, early 80s perhaps, there was a character on Saturday Night Live, a little claymation character named Mr. Bill, and Mr. Bill always got into trouble. Wherever he went, he always ended up getting hurt, run over by a car or whatever it was. And I've always thought that Mr. Bill was funny, and so when I went to an event in Wisconsin, a few years ago, I saw a Mr. Bill trackable on the table. It was a Mr. Bill doll, probably about 3 or 4 inches tall, had a hole drilled through him, and there was a trackable tag on it, and it looked brand new. The doll looked brand new. So I picked it up and I punched in the trackable number, and sure enough, I was the first one to pick it up. It had just been released by its owner. And so I'm like, yeah, cool. I'll take Mr. Bill, and I'll move him somewhere, just like I like to do with other trackables. No problem. Well, I had Mr. Bill about a week or two, and I got to thinking, wait a minute. I have a friend that was coming to visit, Neil Moore from Cache Tales. He was coming from Michigan, and we were going to go geocaching. I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I took this Mr. Bill doll and we had a Mr. Bill adventure? Maybe we could get him hurt somehow on this adventure. Maybe we could do something fun with Mr. Bill. But of course, I didn't want to ruin somebody's trackable. So of course, I contacted the owner, and they gave me the okay. And I was real careful with them. So thanks to Hack 1 of 2 up in Wisconsin for allowing me to do that, which really started off something that I didn't envision at first. So I contacted Neil Moore and I said, hey, I have this trackable where I want to take it on some misadventures, Mr. Bill trackable. And he says, well, you need a stunt double. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll see if I can find one before you arrive. He says, I'll buy it and I'll bring it, no problem. I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's cool. So he bought it and brought it with. Gave it to me, and we went on a trail walk, and Mr. Bill got into some trouble. Of course, he fell down a hole and got stepped on, and got slammed in an ammo can, all sorts of fun stuff. But so that's how Mr. Bill came to be. Uh, Once again, kind of a inadvertent encounter at a geocaching event. So that's how he is. That's why I have Mr. Bill.
How often does Mr. Bill show up in his misadventures of geocaching?
And now, you know, some people probably want more Mr. Bill and less Halemeister. I'm pretty sure about that. And I get it. But I don't want to overdo Mr. Bill. He's just a little guy and you can't hurt him too much, and I don't want him going on strike on me. So, but it seems like just when I have an idea at the top of my head of something I can do with Mr. Bill, maybe once every couple months or something like that, just when I make a video with him. It's always fun to come up with something I can get him into trouble with.
How long have you had Mr. Bill now?
Hmm. Well, now that you ask, the day that Neil Moore came and brought Mr. Bill to me, and we went on that adventure, was Leap Day 2000. 2000 was leap year, wasn't it? I believe so. Yeah, yeah. Leap Day 2000.
2000?
Yeah, I think so.
You didn't start geocaching until 2009.
No, I'm sorry, 2020.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It's like that math wasn't working out quite right.
Yeah, well, mine either, apparently. Wow. Better stick with the vlogs, huh?
How is Mr. Bill faring at this point? He's been through a few misadventures in the last couple of years.
It's funny you ask. The very first adventure we took him on, we found an old ammo can way off the trail, way out in the middle of the woods. And I thought, okay, this is Mr. Bill's first geocache. He's got to get his head slammed in the ammo can when we're trying to close it. I was a little too aggressive. And I didn't know how much my little new buddy could take. So I put his neck in the ammo can. And of course, when you close the ammo can, it's kind of like a guillotine right there where they come down. And I was pushing on him, and Neil Moore was recording the incident and everything. And I almost cut his head off. And I didn't know it. Yeah. I didn't know it until after the fact, but I nearly cut his head off on the first geocache he went to. But luckily he survived, and he still has the kink in his neck where the ammo can was smushing it down. I like to tell that story to people that meet Mr. Bill. So. Other than that, Mr. Bill's been thrown down the trail, a bike trail. He's been stepped on. He's been dropped from railroad bridges 30 or 40 feet downfall. He's been Oh, he's had all sorts of stuff done to him. I can't even think right now. It's a lot of different things, and more to come too.
Mr. Bill is definitely a fun little side adventure or side story of your YouTube channel for sure. When you're going to these places, how often are you getting to actually travel to geocache and vlog?
For big events and stuff, I typically go to like historically the last several years been maybe 2 or 3 megas a year. Um, so I don't know. I usually travel long distances at least 3 times a year for these things. But staying around my home area, and I say my home area, I would say within 100 miles. That could include the Chicago suburbs or up to Madison, Wisconsin, or even as far as the eastern edge of Iowa. Um, I go probably about once a month or something like that locally.
Okay. So when you're traveling and you're geocaching, are you getting content from multiple videos at a time?
Yeah, because I only go like once a month on average. I will try to shoot 2 or 3, sometimes more videos an outing if I can, if it calls for it in the area and the geocache I'm going to call for it. Yeah. Like I said, every 2 weeks I put out a video. So if I can shoot, say, 3 videos, that's 6 weeks worth of content. That might, set me up for a month and a half worth of releases on my channel.
For sure. Do you have a favorite type of geocache that you like to go find?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, of course. Don't we all? I I like. Well, let me just say, I like all sorts of geocaches, but my favorite geocache find is got to be a gadget cache, and it gives me the reason to create a story around it, or maybe to draw intrigue from the viewer on what's going to happen next. How is this locked up? How is he going to get into it? Can he get into it? That type of thing. What do the cache owner do to make this geocache interesting? Things like that. If I can spark curiosity in my viewers while entertaining as well, that's going to be a win for me.
Have you ever found a gadget cache that you couldn't get into?
Hmm. Sure, there has been one. That's a good question. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. Nothing really sticks out. There's got to be at least one, I'm sure, but I can't think of any. No.
Do you have a most memorable find or a favorite find that you've had?
Man, there have been so many. Uh, well, I'll tell you. Down, let's see, where was it? I'm gonna say Central Illinois somewhere. There was oh, when Moga was down in Lake Shelbyville, Illinois, there was a cache there by Major Boothroyd, and I think he has since moved to Florida, but he lived in that area at the time, or I think he lived in Decatur, Illinois, perhaps. But anyway, he made a bunch of gadget caches, and gadget caches were kind of a new thing back then when Moga was there in 2013, I believe it was. Um, and so we targeted those because we had heard that these were a little bit different than just an ammo cannon or a bush or a walk through the forest. So he had a few that I've never seen replicated since. One of them was you come to a fence line in the forest. Obviously, the property ends, and on the other side of the fence was probably about 20 feet, and maybe not that far, maybe 10 feet away from where you were standing, were some buckets with PVC tubes sticking out. And in one of those PVC tubes, and I'm talking there was probably 50 PVC tubes sticking out of these buckets. In one of those PVC tubes was a log or a container that had a magnet on it. and he didn't know which one. He couldn't see it there from where we were standing. So you had to grab a fishing pole that was at the tree next to you that had a magnet on it. You fished it out from across the fence into the buckets, and you eventually found the one. You pulled it out. That was pretty neat. I like that one.
That's cool. I haven't heard of one
Yeah,
like that before.
yeah, pretty neat.
That's different. Is there a certain location that you have yet to cache that you really want to go hit one day?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there is. There's, there's many, of course, but one that sticks out in my head right away. It seems that I probably should have been there already, but is just over the border in Canada. I've got several friends in Canada, and I've been wanting to go there. 2020, I was supposed to go there for Geo Woodstock, but then COVID happened and put the kibosh on that, and now it's going to be happening in 2022, but I won't be able to attend this time. And I have some friends in Ontario that I could easily just hop on over to Ontario. They're from Michigan and go see and cache, but they still have some restrictions and things on certain activities coming from the United States that I don't qualify. I can't quite get over the border yet, so to do that. So maybe one of these days I will. That's one of the places I'd like to go to another country. I've never been outside the United States. As geocachers, we like to check off boxes and go places and color in parts of the map, and that's one place I haven't ever been able to color in yet. So that's one, that's for sure.
Is there like a rare cache type that you haven't found that you're hoping to get one day?
Wow. There are two cache types. Well, I take that back. I take that back. There is a cache type that I have not gotten that I've always wanted to get, and that is the ape cache. I don't have that one as of the recording of this podcast. I don't have that one, but I will be remedying that situation here within about a month's time.
Are you making it to the 20th celebration that's been put off for the past 2 years?
Yep, I'm headed to Seattle for yeah. I'll be getting that one while I'm there, so that'll be great.
Nice.
Yeah, finally get an ape cache.
I have talked to some other people that have done the ape cache, and like I guess there's been whole events around going out to find the ape cache and somebody dressed up as an ape and everything when they do it. Like it sounds like it could be a very interesting thing to go do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people in that tunnel. I hear the tunnel's like 2 or 3 miles long, and it's dark and
Yeah.
cold.
Are you planning to hike the tunnel or are you taking a bike or what do you have in mind for that?
Oh no, I'll be hiking.
Hiking it.
Yeah,
You could try roller skating it. I wonder if anybody roller skates it or rollerblades it.
well, maybe, but I won't be doing any of that. I'll just be walking.
So, when it comes to geocaching, obviously it's a passion of yours. I mean, you have a YouTube channel around it, you travel for it. But there's so many different aspects to geocaching. Is there like a favorite thing about geocaching that you have?
Yeah, with all the fines and stuff you accumulate throughout the years, and all the places you go, and all the things you see that geocaching takes you to, and stuff. Those are all great, but I'd say the best thing that I've discovered while geocaching is my friends, the people that I've met along the way, and the people that I've become friends with, and it's really kind of strange to tell people that I work with who aren't geocachers that I have a guy I know in California. I have somebody I know, in New Jersey. I know somebody down in Mississippi. All these different places, and they're like, they think I'm kind of crazy, but it's true. I do have these friends in faraway lands, that I like to see at these mega events. And sometimes I share like an Airbnb with these people, or we go caching, and I meet some of their friends, and we become friends. So it's got to be the people for me, that make this fun and make it worth doing. I mean, sure, a hike on a lonely trail out in the middle of the woods is sometimes what you need alone. Uh, Sometimes you find yourself out there other than geocaching. Um, but taking a friend along with is always a fun thing, and it's been a real good thing. And the only people I have that I consider friends now are all geocaching friends.
And speaking of friends, on your channel, a lot of your videos feature other geocachers, other vloggers even. Are they all or mostly people you've met at these different events?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of the people that I have on my channel, um, some of them are local, like I was saying, that 100-mile radius or so. I'll run into somebody at an event and I'll go caching with them locally. But a lot of times when I go to like mega events and stuff, it's with Neil Moore, who lives in Michigan. That's a 4-hour drive for me to his house, and or maybe it's somebody that I've met at the Mega who became my friend, the previous year or something like that, or other vloggers from other countries like Cache Canada or Cache Line up in Ontario. Seen them many times, and I just actually spent some time with Jeff from Cache Line recently, and we'll spend some more time with Dave and Karen from Cache Canada coming up here in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's people that I meet at these different mega events, and they become my friends. And of course, when they're vloggers as well too, they help you. Uh, they know what it takes to make a video, and they add to the video, and that's usually who's in my videos when I travel like that is people that I've met at these events.
You had a video, and I'm not sure exactly when it was posted. I watched it earlier this summer. I think I watched it after Moga, so late spring, early summer. And I don't remember what event you said you guys were at, but you had Mr. Bill in it, and you were looking at this geocache, and all of a sudden there's like 5 other vloggers that are just kind of showing up because everybody's trying to find this same gadget cache.
Yeah,
And I thought that was really neat because it didn't look planned at all, but everybody just happened to be there doing the same thing, like you said, same interest.
yeah, that was sort of planned, and that happened. I know which video you're talking about. That's Mr. Bill finds celebrities.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, that one was shot um, last year at Mingo Madness, the mega
Okay.
that they had there. And so what we have typically, like I was talking about the people, it's about the people. But within the geocaching blogging community, when we have a mega like that, several of us we know we're going, we'll we'll plan a meetup, like a special meetup, offsite somewhere, so we don't have the distractions of other things, people or other events going on and things. We'll get together somewhere offsite and go find a cache, and then we'll go out to eat or share some ideas or suggestions and things like that. And that was one of them. We all met at a gadget cache there in Colby, Kansas, and I thought it would be fun to break out Mr. Bill and he could find some geocaching celebrities. Those are all people who make videos for the geocaching network on YouTube as well too. All those people on that video.
So this is probably an unfair question to ask, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
Okay.
Besides geocaching with Halemeister, what is your favorite geocaching vlog?
Hmm. Yeah, you're gonna put me on the spot. Um, I've been watching a lot of a vlog that I was introduced to just a few months ago. I guess it's been 6 or 7 months ago now. I was introduced to a travel vlog called The Adventures of A and K, and it's Adam and Catherine is their names, and they're from Texas, and they're currently traveling to Alaska, and they live in a van. They've converted a van into a little RV type thing, and ever since I started watching this vlog with Adam and Catherine, I've noticed that I've come to learn that van life is something that's a lot more prevalent that really I didn't know. I didn't know how prevalent it was. It's quite a community they have. Um, but Adam and Catherine, they're, like I said, going up to Alaska right now. And but in previous years, they've driven from Texas to the New England states and all over the South and things. And they do a great job in showing where they're at and what they're doing. And usually they stop for something good to eat, and they like to taste the local fare and everything. So that's right up my alley. The only thing they don't do is geocache.
They're missing an opportunity here.
They are. They are.
How did you find out about that blog?
On a geocaching podcast. Yep. Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Do you have any advice for somebody that's starting a blog or is new to vlogging that you could share with us?
Hang with it. It's going to be rough goings at first. I can attest to that. If you watch some of my earlier videos, yeah, it was rough going. That's for sure. But yeah, hang with it. Practice will make you better. Like I said earlier, I started out, I was making a video once a week. And like I said, I don't know how I got through that once a week for like 3 years. I put out videos, but it was that once a week for 3 years that made me who I am today. That gave me the knowledge on how to run my editor and to what I want to do when I go out and shoot and how to edit and how to choose the music and things like that. If I didn't do it quite as often back then, um, my videos would probably be a little bit more rougher than they are today. So it definitely hang with it and just it's like anything else, practice makes better.
For sure.
Mhm.
Do you have any geocaching advice you'd like to share with us?
Hmm. Well, always carry bug spray. That's for sure. Sunscreen if you're like me and don't have any hair up top. I've had many of sunburns up there, and it really hurts pretty bad. But as for somebody that's starting geocaching, I would once again I'd say stick with that. Um, you're not going to find your first one, maybe. Your first 100 are going to be probably the hardest. But if for somebody that's experienced, I would just say, to always carry a first aid kit, sunblock, sunscreen, or bug spray, wear pants, and good sturdy boots. Um, Funny story about that is I say always wear pants, but I was just down in Tennessee and I went for a geocache out in the woods, and I was wearing shorts because it was so hot down there. I just couldn't think about wearing pants, so I wore shorts that day, and I only went for just one walk in the woods that day. I got chiggers,
Ooh,
so because I wasn't wearing pants.
oof. The Phantom Menace, chiggers.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Did you have a cache to highlight with us today?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to highlight GC9E5E. It's called Dr. Evermore and Lady Eleanor. It's up in Wisconsin. And it's one I found probably about 10 years ago. And it's a traditional cache. And it's located um, near, it's located south of Baraboo, Wisconsin, probably about 20 miles or so, I'd say. And what makes this what makes that cache so great? Well, currently it has over 370 favorite point, but what makes it so great is it's at a sculpture park, and the 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 Dr. Evermore part of the title of that cache is a character from a man named Tom Avery, or is it Tom Avery? I think his name was Tom Avery. He's deceased now. Died, I think, a couple years ago. But he had an alter ego, and his alter ego wanted to be blasted off into space using like a magnetic blaster or something. Some really kind of far out thing. Um, and he used to work at if I'm not mistaken, if I read the story right, he used to work in like scrap collections or something like that around Wisconsin.
Okay.
So yeah, and he owns right there behind a like a resale store. Is this scrapyard um, sculpture park that he built? And as you're walking around looking at it, you can tell all these things are made out of different scrap pieces. It's really something to see. But the centerpiece of the scrapyard um, is the Forevertron machine that he built, and that's the thing that he wanted to be blasted off into space with, or his character wanted to be blasted off into space with the Forevertron uh, machine. It's really something neat. It's you should Google it when you get off here. Anybody listening, if you haven't heard of the Forevertron, um, it's like the largest scrap sculpture in the United States. I believe it is.
Oh.
It's like 300 tons, it's like 100 feet wide, or something like that. I can't remember the exact dimensions on it, but it's pretty neat and amazing to think that this guy dedicated his time to put this all together to make it look like it did. It's quite the it's quite the thing to see. That's for sure.
That's cool. It sounds like a really
Yeah,
interesting place.
yeah, yeah. It is.
Okay, that leads me to another question. If you had to pick, would you rather have an interesting cache or an interesting location?
Good question. Good question. I'm gonna say an interesting location. Uh, why I say that? I don't. I'm not sure. It's a hard question. But as I think about all the cool places I've been, there's definitely been some really good geocaches, but it's always usually about the places and the people that is for me.
Yeah. For me, a lot of times I have my son or my son and my husband with me.
Hmm.
And my husband, bless his heart, he cannot get to geocaching for any of it, but he'll do it for me. So if I can take him to a neat place, he enjoys it more. And then
Yeah,
my
that makes sense.
kid, if my kid can trade swag, he's happy. But if we can go to a neat place that just really kind of pops out to everybody, it's just kind of more fun for the whole family.
Oh, for sure. Roadside attractions are a geocacher's best friend.
For
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking geocaching in your vlog with me today. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to share with us today?
No, I think I covered quite a bit of stuff, and I want to thank you for inviting me on here, and it's been good to be on the Geocache Adventures podcast tonight with you.
Well, I really appreciate you spending your time and talking with me tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you for listening to Geocache Adventures. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have you heard of FTF Magazine? It's the magazine for geocachers, filled with articles and snippets sent in by geocachers just like you. I'm a subscriber myself, and I love it. Check them out today at ftfgeo.com and tell them Shadow Dragon 1 sent you. Would you like to be a guest on a show or have a topic you'd like to hear covered? reach out and let me know. Just go to the geocacheadventures.org website and click on the contact page to reach out.
Are you itching for a good story? Laughter among friends, maybe even a mystery or two? Well, you're in luck. Fire Breathing Kittens is a standalone Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Each episode is a separate 3-hour-long story, like a movie for your ears, so you can listen to these adventures in any order you like. So join us on a real play D&D quest as we solve mysteries, attempt comedic banter, and enjoy friendship. Fire Breathing Kittens podcast, fantasy, action, mystery, friendship.